Hi, this is Dowson and we're on set of the Reveal Calvin Klein campaign. My most memorable Calvin Klein campaign is Eternity with Christy Turlington. I think it was she's very iconic to begin with, and then to pair it with Calvin Klein, it was just such a memorable campaign to me. I started modeling in Holland. I actually looked at magazines and I saw all the girls with pretty hair and makeup, and secretly I sent pictures to an agency in Holland and I didn't tell anyone. And then I didn't hear anything and I called them and I said, is there anything? Like, did you see my pictures? And I just want to know what's going on, otherwise I'll give up. But also for that reason I didn't tell anyone. So they said, no, send it again. We didn't get anything. So I sent it again. They called me. I went from the countryside in Holland, so it was one of the first times I went to Amsterdam. And then within a few months I was in New York. And that was a big transition, and I was very homesick. It's 10 years. It's been 10 years now, and now I'm fine. It took 10 years to settle and to feel good and not get homesick anymore. The Reveal Calvin Klein campaign is like a seductive game between two people from a distance, and it's very, I don't know. It was very amazing. It's amazing to do that because I really feel that way. I really feel like I was in my apartment and I was looking across like a distance, and then there was this handsome guy and I was revealing myself and asking him to come over, and it was, yeah, I felt actually really good. It was a really nice game to play. Shooting with Mert and Marcus for the Reveal campaign was absolutely amazing. I've worked with them before and they're such great guys. We had so much fun and we had such a great team with hair and makeup and styling, and it was just, I didn't feel like I was working. I just felt like I was having fun, and it was a great group of people, and I wish every job was like this. I definitely have a favorite Calvin Klein collection piece that I've worn, and that's the one that I worn in Cannes last year actually. It was a white dress and I saw it on the hanger in the styling room, and I was totally in love with it right away before I've tried it on, and I was hoping that it would fit, and it did, and I had so many compliments and I just felt so great in it. So that was a great memory. I would describe Calvin Klein collection as sexy minimal. To reveal something that people don't know might be that I like to cook. I love to cook for, not just for myself, but now since I'm a mom, I like to cook for my son and for my husband. It's just really nice I feel really nice to take care of people and yeah, to do something totally different outside of work. I think it relaxes me after a long day. I come home and I cook, and it just relaxes me, and I like it. My first fragrance memory, I think, is the smell of herbs, of rosemary and sage. And when my mom would make tea, she would always go to the garden and take the herbs from the garden and come in, and we would always have fresh tea, and it would just smell so amazing and delicious. And every time I smell that, it just makes me happy and think about home. Working with Charlie on the Reveal Calvin Klein campaign was very nice. It's very nice to work with an actor instead of a model. It just makes everything easier because he knows how it works with the camera, and he made me feel very comfortable. I like the Reveal Calvin Klein fragrance because it's fresh and very sexy, and I can wear it. I feel like I can wear it anytime, day, night, doesn't matter. The last thing I posted on Instagram was a selfie on my way to set today. What I like about Instagram and social media in general is that I like to be in touch with my fans, just to show them a little bit of my life and to show that I'm a normal person. Like, it looks like a very glamorous job, and it is, but I also cook, I hang out with my son, I do fun things outside of work, and I like to share that, and I also like to share the charity work that I do. I think it's important to have a mix between private work and charity. I like growing up in a little village where I grew up because I learned so many different things than when you grow up in a city. Like I learned, like you're more in touch with nature, I think, when you're in a small city in a small town, and I really like that. I like that I knew all the, we had a place that we had only had a fireplace at home, so I know how important it was where the wind directions were coming from, and I just feel like I was closer to nature, and I really miss that living in Manhattan. I keep fit with ballet and boxing, a mix between those two. I do Ballet Beautiful with Mary Helen Bowers, and it's been really amazing to me, and I feel like it fits with my body. I feel like I've had great results from it, and it's almost like the same kind of result you get from a Pilates workout. It's a lot of core and legs, and I've been liking it a lot to learn ballet. A top beauty tip, it's so cliche. It's sleep and hydration, and it's all the things that I usually can't do because I'm traveling and working. It's hard, but those are things that I'm always trying to get into my schedule, to get an 8 hours 8 hours sleep at night, and to drink lots of water. I've been to a lot of amazing places during my career, but there's a place, Patagonia, that I really would like to visit, would like to go and spend time. And actually, before I had kids, I would go to places and travel and actually stay for work and then stay a little bit longer to visit or go on the tour buses or the tour boats. And I really took advantage of that. And but now, when I go somewhere, I want to go back home as quick as possible, or I make it a trip, or I take my family and we stay a few extra days longer. My beauty icon, I think, is Catherine Deneuve, Marilyn Monroe, Brigitte Bardot.
Hi, I'm Charlie Hunnam. I'm here in Los Angeles on the set of the Reveal Calvin Klein campaign. Well, I grew up in Newcastle until I was 12, and then moved away to the Lake District for my teenage years. And I was studying the theory and history of film at Cumbria College of Art and Design. But I was in Newcastle on Christmas Eve, I guess in 1998, because I was 18, and buying some shoes for my brother. It was always my tradition to leave all of my Christmas shopping till Christmas Eve and then get really drunk in the morning and just do it in one fell swoop. And I was trying some shoes on for my brother, and in a shoe store on Northumberland Street in Newcastle called JD Sports. And there was a lady looking at me from across the street, from across the store, and me being a little drunk and a cheeky young chap, I blew her a kiss. And it turns out her name was Elizabeth Binns, and she was the production manager of the only TV show that shoots in Newcastle, a kids program, Biker Grove. And she was the production manager, and she asked me if I'd ever thought about acting, and I said, "You kidding me? It's all I ever thought about doing." Hey, wants to be in our interview. I said, "Are you kidding me? It's all I've ever thought about doing." And she said, "Well, I'm the production manager of this TV show, and I've been watching you and think you're, really sweet or whatever." And so she brought me in and gave me. I met the director, and they gave me 3 episodes. And from that, I got an agent and went out on my first audition for this big mini-series called Queer as Folk. And I got it, my first audition. And so I realized after basically 20 minutes on set that I'd learned more in those first 20 minutes of being on an actual working set than I had in the whole year I'd been at film school before that. So I just left and started pursuing acting full time. All roles are challenging in their own way. I mean, the last film I did, Pacific Rim, was by far and away the most physically challenging, because I had a lot of fight sequences to do, and I was the pilot operating a giant robot, and so they had to, come up with some kind of apparatus to replicate what that would be like to pilot a giant robot. And that was like being on an elliptical machine while wearing a suit of armor that weighed 40 pounds for 15, 16 hours a day. So that was really challenging physically, but probably emotionally and mentally the most challenging job I've had is Sons of Anarchy, just because it's a very emotionally charged show, and so there's always grand drama unfolding, which requires a lot of, emotional commitment. And then just with TV, you shoot so quickly. We shoot an episode every 7 days, so we're shooting, 5 or 6 scenes a day. So TV's tough, but I like working fast. I mean, it creates a real energy to the work when you're working that quickly. So, well, I always have this, whether I'm traveling wherever I go, I always carry my lucky piece of gold. And I remember a lot of the Calvin Klein campaigns from, when I was younger. They have created some really iconic stuff over the years. But the one that resonated with me the most, for sure, was CK1. I remember I would like cut pictures of that out of magazines and have the put them up on my wall. And I remember I was thinking about this the other day, actually, when I went and shot the first portion of this campaign, that I used to think when I was 15, 16, how cool it would be to be in a campaign like that, particularly the CK1 campaign. And now, whatever, 17, 18 years later, here I am as, starring one of these campaigns. So it's pretty cool. Working with Dowson's been great. Seems like just a very sweet, down-to-earth girl, but it was certainly, it was a humbling experience to begin with working with her, because I've done tons of photo shoots in the past, publicizing films or shoots for magazines or whatever, but I've never done one with a supermodel before, and she's so good at what she does. It's so effortless how she, brings forward whatever she's trying to have the camera capture. And the first day I kind of felt a little insecure. I was saying to my friend, it was almost like being a kid fresh out of film school being thrust into a scene with Daniel Day-Lewis or something. I mean, she's very, very good at what she does. So it's cool. I feel like I've learned a little bit from her, how to create a character for the camera, for the still camera, because it's very different than creating a character for the moving camera, Fragrance and scents is so funny. How sense memory can be activated so acutely by scent, and I think there are probably many scents, from my childhood that I hold really dear to my heart. I've always worn cologne, and I think that probably is because my father was always, a real working class hero, impeccably dressed and impeccably groomed and always smelled great, So I definitely inherited my, like of wearing colognes from my father. But, I'm sure just many different scents from my childhood. My mom's perfume, my dad's cologne, like the type of soap they used, all those different types of things. I think always the key to staying in shape is diversity. Otherwise, it just gets so boring doing the same old stuff over and over again. So I run and swim and hike and, lift weights a little bit. But what I really love to do, which I haven't been able to do for the last 18 months, is box. But I hurt my back on that film Pacific Rim that I was telling you about. And so the doctor said I shouldn't twist my spine. And when you're throwing punches, you're constantly twisting your body. So I haven't been able to box for the last 18 months while I've been repairing my spine. But I'll get back to it when I'm better, I'm really lucky with work. I've gotten to travel a lot and been to a bunch of really exciting and interesting places. I went to Thailand pretty recently, which is my second time in Southeast Asia, and both times when I went to that part of the world, it blew my mind. Just how lovely the people are, and it's so different from the West. In every way. So I really enjoy that, and I like to go down to Costa Rica, every couple of years with my girlfriend. We've been down there maybe 3 or 4 times over the last 5 years, so I like Costa Rica a lot. If I hadn't been an actor, I think I'd have probably been a bank robber. Or maybe a photographer. I am so boring. I get to do really exciting, fun things while I'm working and get to travel a lot and stuff like that. So when I'm not working, I'm such a homebody. I really just stay home and paint a little bit. I love to cook, drink wine, hang out with my friends, just chill. Currently, I'm in the middle of, well, not in the middle, I've just begun shooting another film with Guillermo del Toro called Crimson Peak, which is like a haunted house love story set at the beginning of the 20th century and split between America and England. So I just started doing that, which is why I'm more cleanly shaven, had to shave my beard off, which is probably good for this too.
Reveal, the new fragrance for her from Calvin Klein.